This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Is it Friday on the After Party Live? Why, yes, it is. Thank you so much. Got through the Mark Thompson show without Mark, and that's always difficult because he brings this sense of joy and fun that I just can't recreate without him. But glad we got that show. So good. I really love Michael Shore and Jim Avila, Michael Snyder. So a lot of fun was had on that show. And just a show note that the Mark Thompson show and this show, the After Party Live, will both be dark on Monday, which is the Labor Day holiday. So just a show note. And thank you to whoever asked me about it yesterday, which got me thinking about it. And I asked Mark, are we doing a show on Monday? Like, no. All right. So happy joy. Nice to see you, Rev P. Also, CBD, hello to Jane O. And Rhonda, hello to you. I see you all here. Zero Sum, ready to go. You had a really funny comment at the very end of the Mark Thompson show that I wish I could have put up on the screen, but it was at the very end and I didn't have time to do it. But well done, and thank you for your comments. Hello to Heather and Eileen. Happy Labor Day weekend to you as well. So much good stuff to get to. Tim Sika with At the Movies with Tim Sika will be here in just a few minutes. So let's jump into some stories while we have some time. The first one is about this guy. I'm calling him the Croc King. He has a big, fat Croc collection, more than 3,800 pairs of Crocs, which begs the question, seriously? How many pairs of Crocs do you need? This Connecticut man is known as the Croc King, and he has a Guinness World Record because his Croc collection was put at 3,569 pairs, but he said that's already out of date. He already has more. He's got more than 3,800 pairs now. So he started with the whole Croc obsession when he was 16. He said that he was in foster care, and so he didn't have the knowledge about how to tie his shoes. So he always just wore Crocs. He said part of the foster care system that people don't realize is there's a lot of things that kids don't get taught or they miss along the way. He made a list of goals in his journal when he was a teenager. And he said that is how he started collecting. He called it his goals list. And for whatever reason, he said he put 366 pairs of Crocs. That was his original Croc goal. And then he started to seek out a Guinness World Record for the collection in 2023 when he passed 2,000 pairs. And finally, he got it for 3,569 pairs. But again, it's even more now. He said he eventually hopes to show off his collection by opening a Crocmuseum. Okay. Well, Crocs were in for a while, then they were out. And then they came back in briefly, and I don't think Crocs are in style right now, but that's all right. You do you with your Croc collection. I just got this story submitted from Jim S. Jim, thank you for this really interesting story about the first evidence, they think, of interpersonal conflict based on this skull that was found in Southeast Asia. It's an unusual quart-tipped tool that was used to kill a man 12,000 years ago. They don't know who the murderer was, but this human skeleton excavated in Vietnam is about 12,000 years old. It contains, they think, the oldest human mitochondrial DNA found in the region, and it belonged to a man who died when he was about 35 years old after he was pierced in the neck by a projectile with a tip made of quartz that showed signs of human workmanship. Ha. Here it is. All right, so you can see the diagram of the tip with the quartz. And there is where he got stabbed with this ancient weapon. He didn't die right away, though. They did some analysis. They showed that his cervical rib bone revealed signs of tissue growth and an infection that likely caused his death. The whole thing is in the journal Proceedings of the Royal Society of Bee Biological Sciences. They say this guy might have lived for months after being wounded until he died and then was buried in a cave site named Thung Bin 1. And it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The circumstances of the fight, the murder, the injury, that's all unknown. But the researchers think this could be the earliest evidence of conflict between hunter-gatherers in mainland Southeast China. The wound and the survival for some time afterward offer a glimpse into the lives of people in this region. They say that the type of remains like this are really, really scarce. They don't find things like this very often. They have an abundant evidence of interpersonal violence in the Holocene era as populations adopted food-producing economies and society became more stratified, they said. But there are fewer examples from the Pleistocene of populations that were practicing a foraging economy. So this type of study adds to those examples. And what they did was, because they have so few remains from this period, and this near complete find with DNA preserved was already significant, and they found the damage to the guy's cervical rib, an extra bone in the neck that rarely appears in humans. They said it was a major surprise. And so they did a facial reconstruction. Here's what the murder victim would have looked like. There he is, down bottom right. They can see the progression of how they reconstructed his face. 12,000 years ago, this guy on the bottom right was stabbed in the neck. Ugh. They said that near the injured cervical rib, there was a fragment of opaque quartz, and it was 0.7 of an inch. It was just really tiny, but it bore carving marks commonly seen in stone tools from this period. There were no other quartz tools in the cave, making it kind of an exotic technology that originated elsewhere. So who killed this guy? What happened? Who made the quartz tool? It's going to be a 12,000-year-old mystery that likely never gets solved. Thanks, Jim S., for submitting that story. It is time for something a little happier. At the Movies with Tim Sika. Woohoo! Hi, Tim.
Hi, Kim. How are you? Hopefully happier. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Oh, well, happy Labor Day weekend to you.
Is it really Labor Day? See, you know what? I am not even paying attention. That's right. It's Labor Day.
Yeah, it's Labor Day weekend.
And before you know, I was going to say, before you know it, it's going to be Halloween, and then Thanksgiving, and then Christmas, and then New Year's, and then, okay, it's the start of another year. Yeah.
There we go. Here it is.
There it is.
Today, we are at the movies with Tim Sika, and you have some good ones. You promised me this movie last week, and you are making good on your promise, which I really appreciate. This movie is called Splitsville.
Splitsville, yes, and I'm making good on two of my promises, and the other one I'll explain a little later. But yeah, Splitsville. I'm just going to say this from the get-go. This may well be my favorite romantic comedy of all time.
What?
Yes, and bear with me as I endeavor to summon up the words to explain why I think that. Okay, first of all, it's directed by I don't always mention the directors. I don't always talk about the directors, but in this case I have to. It's directed by Michelangelo Covino, and it stars Covino, who also produced and co-wrote with his partner, Kyle Marvin, who also produced, co-wrote, and stars alongside Covino. And it follows two couples God, I have to laugh, whose friendship literally goes off the rails when the husband of the couple who are divorcing, played by Marvin, sleeps with the wife of his best friend, who's played by Covino, who was in a marriage where he and his wife, played by Dakota Johnson, have agreed that it's okay to have sex outside of their marriage. So it's an open relationship, as they say, Yeah, and that's another subject for another long conversation. But anyway, so just let me say first and foremost, this is a genuinely funny movie. And if there's one reason to see it, it's that I guarantee it will make you laugh. But more importantly for me, the humor, yes, it's very funny, but the humor arises solely from character. And for me, that automatically distinguishes this movie from other movie comedies, movie romances, and movie romantic comedies. Its humor also arises out of a certain truth, which I think anybody who sees this can relate to if they've ever been in a relationship, truth about the human condition and how we human beings kind of awkwardly sometimes, confusingly negotiate our way through and out of relationships. How maybe intellectually, sometimes while being okay in our minds with a certain concept, we might feel quite the opposite if we had to confront that concept in a practical, real life way. And these characters have to do that in this movie. So in other words, the movie, what Splitsville does is for me, it revived the romantic comedy genre via physical humor. There's a classic fight sequences in this movie between these two guys, these two best friends, which alone is the price of admission. It revives the romantic comedy genre via this open relationship drama, which is superbly written. And it revives the romantic comedy genre via this deeply grounded character work that's so evident in the movie. It's also refreshingly heightened and farcical. It's believable, it's credible, it's true, while at the same time also employing and embracing the traditional mechanics of the traditional rom-com. And what is so brilliant, Kim, too, about this movie, to me, is that its pacing and its tone feel very intentional, almost like they mimic the rhythms of a real relationship, which I thought was genius. Okay, so why do I love this movie so much? I love it because it's about real people. It's hilarious. It's relatable. It's about relationships. It's smart as, I was going to say, well, are we allowed to swear on this program? I never
Swear
asked
away.
you that.
It's okay.
I was going to say it's smart as shit. And I think it can be summed up why I like this movie in three ways. One, it's very, very funny. Two, so it's very entertaining. Two, there's so much more here underneath the film's surface story and hilarity that's truthful. And three, just as a critic, I felt it advanced the romantic comedy form and reinvented the genre's possibilities. I unreservedly love this movie, and I unreservedly recommend it. It's only playing in select theaters right now. I got a couple notices. I had posted something on Instagram. A couple people privately PM'd me, and they said, "Yeah, it's just playing in San Francisco." So right now, I think it's only playing at. I think it's just playing at the Kabuki 8 in San Francisco. But I'm hoping, and I'm assuming it's going to have a wider release as the awards season evolves and plays out. Officially the award season started August 15th. So we're going to get a lot of those movies.
If this is your favorite rom-com of all time and it's only playing at the Kabuki, it has to be open to a wider release, right?
It has to, but it is kind of, I don't know. While I was watching it too, and knowing I was going to talk to you about it, I was thinking like, well, will Kim like this as much as me? I don't know. But see, I've seen so many of them that this one just caught me off guard. It was so refreshing. And again, very, very, very smart. And I loved the characters. I had a vested interest in all these characters, and I wanted everybody to be okay at the end of this movie. And I loved it. I just loved it. Gave me energy.
Oh, I love that. That's good. Yeah. Okay, well, let's see how much you love this one.
The Roses. Another romantic comedy that seems to be saying that when a relationship gets too out of hand and too to the point where it can go nowhere else, the participants in the relationship must die. But you didn't hear that from me. Okay. The Roses. Okay, this is a remake of, I don't know if you've ever seen the 1989 Danny DeVito directed movie version of this. It's called The War of the Roses. Right. Yeah. So it was a black romantic comedy film. It's based on a 1981 novel. I think Warren Adler wrote it, and it starred Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner. They played this couple who seemed to have this perfect marriage, that suddenly begins to fall apart at the seams. And that film's focus was on the couples, if I recall correctly, on their divorce. This remake starring Olivia Colman and Benedict Cumberbatch as the couple with similar relationship issues focuses more on the marriage and its gradual disintegration. The actual, the divorce trial is really, really brief in this movie. Anyway, I love these actors, Coleman and Cumberbatch. They're well matched. The secondary couple, played by Andy Samberg and Kate McKinnon, it was kind of weirdly presented. It was kind of off kilter, kind of like out of another movie entirely. Okay, so what do I want to say about the roses? There's definitely something here in this movie. The cast mostly, and I'm afraid I can hear myself. I can hear where this is going. I'm going to shortchange this movie. I've told you many times, I take a lot of notes when I watch a movie. I just automatically do. But I took one note during this movie, and that note was another bad dialogue mix. From the get-go, watching The Roses, you can only understand half of what's being said. And then you've got Brits delivering the dialogue and who talk really, really fast like me, because whatever, the theater's delivery systems, I don't know whether they're incompatible with the exact way in which technicians recorded and mix this dialogue. I really don't know what it is. This is a real problem with most movies today, and filmmakers and exhibitors, they're screaming, begging and cajoling all of us to please, come back to the theaters to see our movie on the big screen. Well, fix the damn sound issues, will you please? Anyway, that's a separate but related topic.
I noticed it a lot, Tim, though, with speaking of sound, I noticed it a lot with certain series that maybe, are, I don't know if they just didn't put a lot of time or effort or money into it, but that the music will be super loud and then the talking super soft. And so you're constantly with the remote trying to figure out how to do it. And it is super annoying.
Yeah, keep that closed caption button close to your, when you're watching, because, and I want to tell these people, watch any movie pre-1968 if you want to know how to friggin' mix dialogue. Anyway, okay, so back to the movie. It's fine.
1968 was the bomb, Tim.
It was. Oh, well, whatever. Oh, okay. Yeah, right. Anyway, okay. Well, okay. Let me. Yeah, I'll say this movie's fine. If you're fans of these actors, you might have a good time at it. But I don't think we needed a remake. There's that argument against it, which to me always saddles these new iterations right from the start with a handicap. I don't think it says anything new about relationships we haven't already seen or heard in a movie before. I say watch The War of the Roses instead, the original. You can rent it on Amazon. And I guess having seen Splitsville so close to my viewing of this probably influenced my less than enthusiastic reaction to it. Okay, so what am I saying? What in substance am I proposing on the After Party Live regarding The Roses? I say see it if you're so inclined, but if you ask me, meh. Skip it. Yeah.
Skip. This one, not to be confused with The Lurker from 2019, which is what the poster that popped up. It's just called simply Lurker.
Lurker, yeah. It's a film, a psychological drama film that made, from what I can tell, it made quite an impact when it premiered at the Sundance Film Festival this year. It's a very intriguing yarn, this movie, about this young guy who works in a clothing store like, the Gap or Banana Republic, one of those kinds of stores. He's a retail worker. And one day into this clothing store where he works, in walks this up and coming pop star who has a following, on social media, but hasn't broken through like a Taylor Swift, right?
Right.
And who strikes up a conversation with this clothing retailer, this young guy, who the pop star comes to feel like sees him, gets him as an artist. And so before you know it, this, young retail worker becomes a part of this up and coming pop star's inner circle, with all the attendant groupies and sycophants and hangers on. And once this kid infiltrates this singer's inner circle, what kind of transpires through this beautifully written narrative, I think this movie is so well written, is this fascinating I don't know, you call it a study, an observation, a rumination on fame, on codependency, on creativity as an activity, the necessary narcissism of the artist, obsession, personal obsession, identity, how we oftentimes are only able to see our own worth, our own value through others, which is really sad. It's about the shattering of illusion and how painful that can be. It's just this wow kind of movie, the kind of movie I personally love, and I have really no objectivity about, although I could make a good argument as to why people should see it. But this is the kind of movie I like to revisit from time to time, the kind of movie I wish filmmakers were making more of. It's an entertaining, substantive, lingering, and memorable too movie experience. It's another best of year 2025 movie for me, is Lurker. So I'll just leave it at that. I recommend this movie. I think people should check it out based on what I just went on and on about.
Okay.
Very
best of
very
2025. I love it.
Yeah, so far. Yeah.
This next movie is called Caught Stealing.
Caught Stealing is, to me, it's the very definition of a visceral movie-going experience. My body, this sounds like hyperbole, but it's true. My body is still tingling from having experienced this movie, which is this real and wild thrill ride. I don't know how deep it is, but it was sure one hell of a wild and crazy ride. It reminded me, in fact, of what Hitchcock once said when he maintained that when he made a film, he wasn't interested in content. And what he meant, and he often clarified, was that his primary concern, Hitchcock's was, as a filmmaker, was the story and storytelling and the style and manner in which that story was told. That is so this movie, Caught Stealing. It's this bravura exercise in style that grabs you by the throat, refuses to let you go, and literally, via its demonstrative style, which is palpable, pulls you into its nasty world of Russian mobsters, murder, corrupt narcotics detectives, and Hasidic drug dealers. I mean, this is the dark world that you're normally. I would just say, "Oh, I'm not going to watch this. I'm not going to watch this. I'm going to close my eyes here. I'm going to cover my eyes." But every time I did, I started to peek again because I could not pull myself out of this movie that was so brilliantly directed. It's directed by a terrific filmmaker, Darren Aronofsky, who did Requiem for a Dream, Black Swan, Mother, all great movies. And it's basically a crime drama. It stars Austin Butler, who recently played Elvis Presley in a movie of a year or two ago. And he's sensational as this bartender who was a promising professional baseball player until he was in this car accident, which killed his best friend and wrecked his knee. So he couldn't play if he wanted to because physically he didn't have it anymore, and who gets caught up in this whirlwind world of drugs and murder and corruption. So what am I saying? This is a fabulous movie-going experience with its direction and cinematic style, very front and center, but whose front and center direction I think is necessary because it so effectively facilitates the intense and increasingly wild story being told. Normally, I would say when a movie's style is so in your face and so noticeable that it's just showing off. Well, this is one of the very few times where I would assert that this movie's noticeable style was necessary to achieve the result this movie will undoubtedly have upon its audiences. Well, it had upon me anyway. I really enjoyed it. It was simultaneously energizing while being occasionally repellent. It's like I can't remember the last time a movie had this kind of an effect on me. And this effect, all of this was achieved through the way in which this film was directed, the way it was cut and edited, and was visually designed. I guess that kind of adds up to some sort of work of art, but don't quote me on that. I don't know if I'm ready to say this movie was a work of art, but I thought it was amazing and impressive, and I just say go see it, folks. Go see it.
Stealing, and you liked it, and Michael Snyder liked it. So
did he
I
too?
put it
All
on
right.
the yes list. Yeah, well, absolutely.
All right, great minds.
Yeah.
Great minds think alike when they think alike. When they don't, Anyway,
we just don't talk about that.
Yeah.
All right. Airplane is your classic movie recommendation of the week.
Yeah,
I didn't
okay.
give it the fanfare it deserves, but I sure love that old poster from 1980.
In 1980, 45 years ago, this calendar year, the comedy parody of all those airport disaster movies,
Yeah.
Airplane, was released. So I guess 45 years constitutes some sort of classic. Although it's hard for me to absorb the fact that Airplane is 45 years old. I mean, I remember seeing this movie in a theater and then a lot of times on VHS after that. But yeah, this was my second promise, Kim. I picked a comedy this week for our
You
classic.
did.
I did, in response to, I think it was Ricky who was tuning in, and he said, "Hey Tim, so many of your classic movie recs are about serious movies. Why not select a comedy?" So here we go. Okay, so one of the funniest of movie comedies is Airplane. I mean, we were talking about direction when we were talking about Caught Stealing and how direction can make or break a movie. Well, Airplane works again, and this is me just kind of like looking at the mechanics of a movie, but that is also funny. But Airplane works, and it works so incredibly well as a comedy, as a parody, as a satire, so brilliantly, and makes for such silly, gut-busting fun when you're watching it, I think, because it's so well directed. It also helps that the script is great. I mean, it's a script that pokes fun at all those airport disaster flicks. It's written and directed by Jim Abrahams and David and Jerry Zucker, the Zucker brothers. It's 87 minutes of one silly, stupid, sometimes very witty, series of jokes and comic bits that are strung together, I think, so masterfully that even the jokes and comic bits that fall flat, you laugh at because the filmmakers never, ever linger on anything. They just go from one silly bit to the next before you even get a chance to breathe or let the dumbass mayhem and goofy bit of business that you're just rolling your eyes at sink in. So I mean, it's funny the way it's put together. The style is amusing. So I don't know what else to say about Airplane. I just think it's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen, and some of the funniest of its bits, I think. Not to get philosophical or political here, but I think you could argue, would never go down today. The racial jokes, the pedophile jokes. Oh my God. I think Abrahams and the Zuckers would get canceled. I mean, this movie as is, I think much like Blazing Saddles or maybe even the producers, those Mel Brooks movies, I don't think could get made today. I think people would just take too much offense. I think that would get canceled. So before somebody hears this and cancels Airplane, if you haven't seen it, it's pretty widely available. And I really, you'll laugh your behind off. This is a funny, hysterical movie. And it's a comedy, and it's not serious.
Even though you think this movie wouldn't be made today, do you think it stands the test of time, or does some of these jokes just like go over like with a big thud now that it's 2025 and we don't make those jokes anymore?
Oh, good. Good question. Yeah, see, my context for seeing it was that when it came out, I mean, I related to all the pop culture references. That is a really good question, Kim. And I didn't watch it again in preparation to talk about it. So I don't know what the answer. I'll have to watch it again and then answer that question next week when we talk again,
Yeah. I mean, it's a classic. It's one of those, Caddyshack, Airplane, that it's a classic no matter whether the jokes wouldn't be made today or not. It's just, one of
that one. I mean, there's so many, but the one that never fails to make me laugh so hard is when the little boy, I don't know, he's about like 6 or 7. He kind of like, insinuates himself where this other little girl his same age is sitting, and he said, would you like some coffee? And she says, oh, I would love a cup of coffee. And he says to her how would you like it? And she says black like my men.
A child.
See, whatever. Yeah. See, I don't know how that would go today. I mean, Anyway, it always makes me laugh. I can't get through when I recount that joke. I can't get through laughing at it. It's so funny.
and Airplane.
Yeah, Airplane.
Yeah. All right, we're recapping it, my friend. First one is Splitsville. And Tim Sika said this might be his favorite rom-com of all time. What's a wowzer? Humor arises, he said, from both truth and character. It revives the rom-com genre with physical humor and deep character work. You said it's believable, it's credible, and it's hilarious, relatable, smart. You just loved it, but for some reason, it's only at the Kabuki right now. So we're hoping it comes out to a wider release. The Roses. You said this is a remake of The War of the Roses, this movie. And you said it is focusing more on the marriage disintegration than the divorce, which the first one did. So it's different in that way. But you said it has something going for it. You said it does have a bad dialogue mix, which is super annoying. It's hard to understand. You wish they'd get the sound right because they had some bad mixing going on. And you said the first movie was fine. We didn't really need a remake of this. If you love this kind of movie, watch it. But Tim says, skip it. It's not worth it. But he really loved this movie. It's called Lurker, not The Lurker, Lurker. He said it's well written. It raises a lot of interesting issues. He said it's a wow kind of movie, and he wishes more movies were made like Lurker. Entertaining, lingering movie experience that keeps you thinking afterward. He said it's going to be one of the best of 2025. He recommends it. It is Lurker. As far as Caught Stealing, Tim said this was great. It was a visceral movie experience, and he's still tingling over there after having watched it. A real wild thrill ride. Not the deepest movie in the world, but you said it's a wild, crazy movie, great directing, fabulous movie-going experience, but entertaining and repellent at the same time. Still, you like this one a lot. It's Caught Stealing. And Tim's classic movie rec of the week, of course, from 1980 is Airplane. Funny, this movie, you said it would never be made today, but the jokes have you in stitches even now. And so you say, watch Airplane as the classic movie rec of the week. Tim, woohoo, you did it.
We did it. Yeah, I think we did it anyway. Yeah.
I think we did. And you have given us so much to think about and so much to watch for this weekend. Huge, huge thank you.
You're very welcome, Kim. And I am looking forward to talking to you again next week. And what was it? Oh, yeah, I was going to rewatch Airplane and see if some of the jokes still held up. But I bet you they will. I bet you they will.
I'm going to watch it too, and I won't have much trouble convincing my husband to watch it with me.
He likes it a lot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's one of those classics for him too.
Okay, great. Well, we'll talk to you next week. You have a great holiday weekend.
Too. At the movies with Tim Sika. Bye, Tim.
Bye, Kim. Thanks.
Thank you. Love it. At the Movies with Tim Sika happens at 1:30 p.m. Pacific every Friday here on the After Party Live. I also pull the video and keep it separately. So if you're just looking for Tim's movie reviews, you can find it that way as well. War of the Roses was a good movie, says Zero Sum. It was good. It was kind of depressing, though, I think. I remember feeling sad about the state of love and marriage and having a lot of questions about how love could end up that way. Zero Sum says, I've been watching random movies on Netflix that I'd usually never pick, and I've liked most of them. That's the thing about these streaming services. We have access to so much, things that we would never usually maybe think that we would like, but we just a click, you watch 5 minutes of it and decide whether or not you like it. And I've been watching sometimes things in foreign languages that maybe I wouldn't seek out, but have really enjoyed. So in that case, it kind of opens up our world a little bit. Tim Sika says Rev P. Yeah, always super fun when he comes by. All right, let's move on to different stories that we have ready for you today, including this one about jade teeth. Look at that old gemstone embedded in a tooth. It's kind of weird, but cool and creepy at the same time. And they didn't do it very well because you can see how the tooth cracked when they tried to cram that jade gemstone in. This is the tooth of a Mayan child. A pre-Hispanic specimen show these dental accessories were put into the teeth of children and adults alike, wedged in. They loved their tooth accessories way back when. Adults commonly had decorative inlays, engravings, and fillings, and they had these dental artisans in the Mayan world that relied on a stone tool that would carve a cavity into a tooth, a hole into a tooth, and then they would put this shaped gem or mineral like obsidian inside before sealing it with some type of organic cement. They were getting down with the dental work in the Mayan era. Archaeologists previously discovered a handful of these dental additions in Mayan teenagers, but recently they found some teeth that were jade adorned that were some of the youngest examples yet. This museum in Guatemala, this university rather in Guatemala, say children as young as 8 years old received tooth gems based on evidence that's all detailed in this study published in the Journal of Archaeological Science Reports. They said previously the only known child dental inlay came out of Belize, but they think that toddler got the accessory after death as part of some type of burial ritual. This, though, this is different. It looks like this current find could be a more specific trend that happened and maybe a signifier of their transition into adulthood. So you got them as another one of these possibly rites of passage that you got when you were ready to turn into a childbearing person of childbearing age, I guess. They say pre-adolescent Mayan skeletal remains aren't rare, but none of them have featured the same dental work. They think there are details that they can take away from these teeth, that they likely belong to more than one child. They found 3 teeth, so they think it was more than one kid, possibly even 3 different kids. One is estimated to have died at 9 or 10. The other 2 belong to at least one other 8 to 9-year-old. They also say that there are skill discrepancies in the placement of these gems, and that's another indicator that they came from different kids. There's a range of craftsmanship across the jade inlays. Most precise work in this tooth that you're seeing here, where the artisan's cavity only penetrated the tooth's enamel. Others had a more deep carving into the dentin layer. So it just depends on who did your work. For now, it's an archaeological mystery as to why they did it and what happened. All right, this show is never complete without the lotto of the day. And I have to say, let me share the screen because, come on. This is, if you're waiting for the day to play the lottery, I think this is it. I think today's the day we have to play, right? Yeah, we got to do it because the lottery is up to $1 billion. Let me share my lotto screen with you. We're going to the California State Lottery, and here it is. Look at this. $1 billion for the Powerball jackpot. The next Powerball jackpot is $1 billion. The next drawing is tomorrow. Are we going to win? No, we're not. We're not going to win. So why play? The off chance. It gives us a day of dreaming, doesn't it? What you do if you want a bill? It's kind of misleading because if you take the cash payout, which you would kind of have to do, it's like 435 million or something. You're not getting $1 billion, but that's pretty good. I'll take that much money. Yeah. And the rest of the lottery jackpots are swelling as well. So you have the Powerball at $1 billion. You have the Mega Millions at 277 million. The cash value for that is only 124 mil. Oh, sorry, the $1 billion cash payout would be 453 million. So, And then the California Super Lottery is at 38 million. So there you go. I haven't played recently, but I think I might have to get out of the car on the way home from picking up Jacob and Julia at school and buy a $1 billion Powerball ticket, if only for the next 24 hours of dreams. Speaking of lottery winners, this guy had a bit of a win. The story is that, let me see, I thought I had the story for us. Oh yeah, the Powerball jackpot at 1 billion, right? But there was a forgetful man who won two $500,000 prizes in a recent Powerball jackpot. This happened in Maryland. This guy bought two identical tickets for the same Powerball double play drawing and scored two $500,000 prizes for a total of a cool mill. The guy said he was at the A1 laundromat on August 18th when he couldn't recall whether he'd already bought a ticket for the August 20th Powerball drawing, so he ended up buying a ticket with a double play option and scored a 500,000 prize from the double play drawing, which happened while he was out of town. So he later gets home and discovers he already had bought this ticket, identical ticket, for the same drawing. He said he told his wife they won a double prize. He said to look her in the eye and say I had a $500,000 win was good, and it was really good to say I had $1 million. He said it was an unbelievable moment. What will he do with his cool mill? He will help his children and grandchildren, and he said he hopes there's more lottery luck in his future. Normally, I would say, no, you're a bonehead. Like, once you get your million, walk away with it and don't waste any more money. But it just so happens, maybe I'm the bonehead. Perhaps there are people that win over and over and over, because here's this guy. This man collected a $1 million lottery prize 4 years after winning 2 million. I mean, we've talked about this before. It happens. This guy from North Carolina scores a $1 million prize from a scratch-off lottery ticket just under 4 years after he won $2 million from another scratch-off game. He's from Asheville, North Carolina. His name is Bobby. He spent $30 on a Maximilian scratch-off ticket from the Red Dot in Mars Hill, North Carolina, and it turned out to be a $1 million top prize winner. He previously had visited lottery headquarters to collect a $2 million prize from a $20 scratch-off ticket. He didn't say what he plans to do with his winnings. Okay, maybe keep that thing rolling. Something's going on with that luck. I'm telling you. Here's a guy who makes his own luck. Why not? Another Guinness World Record. This guy took 96 wet sponge hits to his face in a period of 1 minute. That had to feel good. He's from Idaho. He recaptured his Guinness World Record. His name is David Rush. He goes by the nickname Record Breaker. And he previously held the record for the most wet sponges thrown in 1 minute, with a total of 92, but then another team beat them at 93. The record requires the sponges be thrown by one participant in order to strike the second participant in the face. So David Record Breaker Rush worked with his collaborator Jonathan Hollywood Hannon, and together they win it. He said the real challenge was I needed my eyes open to track the sponge and make a micro adjustment so it could hit me in the face, but I had to shut my eyes a split second before the scratchy side smacked me in the eyeball. He said as soon as the water washes off, I got to open them immediately to locate the next sponge. It's a non-stop cycle of precision timing. So lest you think there is no skill involved to be smacked in the face with a wet sponge, then you'd be wrong. He, Mr. Rush, Record Breaker, holds more than 181 Guinness World Record titles. The latest achievement is his 47th jointly held record with Hollywood Hannon. Again, he's now at 96 wet sponge hits to the face. I wonder how many times he's going to have to do this to reclaim that record. Yikes. I wanted to show you these pictures because I think they're beautiful and interesting. Look at that. So there is the Olympics, the Winter Olympics, set to be held in, let me see, I'm sorry, in Saudi Arabia. They have this unbuilt project. It's called the Trojena Ski Resort. The problem is, and this is a rendering, they don't know if it's going to be ready in time. And so now, according to Reuters, the Olympic organizers have been going to South Korea about possibly hosting the 2029 Asian Winter Games over doubts that the Saudi Arabia Trojena ski resort will be ready in time. So they have formally contacted the Korean Sport and Olympic Committee to maybe hash out having it there instead in 2029. Because the Trojena ski resort is lofty. I mean, this thing is going to be really cool if it ever gets built eventually. But they just don't have faith that it will be. So here's some pictures of it. The country of Saudi Arabia made some headlines when it announced that it won the right to host the Winter Games in the heart of the desert in their Neom region. But hosting the games had a hard deadline on the completion of this resort. It is in the mountainous Tabuk region in northern Saudi Arabia. It is being designed to have year-round skiing, but they are struggling to build it on the timeline. So here's one picture. Here is a man-made lake that they're going to have adjacent to this resort area. I mean, this is going to take a long time to build. There's another picture of it. So, yeah, they don't think it's going. They say work on Trojena, the year-round mountain destination, continues. The development of Neom, including Trojena, is progressing according to a phased plan that emphasizes international standards, long-term sustainability, and legacy outcomes. But one of the problems they're having is potentially filling up this massive artificial lake. Yeah. They say the lake is required to create the artificial snow used for the resort ski runs. They're using a pipe that would require water to flow at full capacity for at least 2 years to fill this lake. They also say there's some issues with access to this mountainous site. There's only one road in and one road out. So a lot of the contractors are having trouble getting there. And there's pressure of these tight deadlines and a lot of logistical challenges. So it could be that Saudi Arabia is not going to be able to have these Asian Olympic Winter Games. So they have to approach South Korea instead. Yep. But I thought the pictures were really cool of what it eventually maybe will look like with the resort under the mountain. It's really, the pictures are really interesting. It's called Trojena. You can see there the lake off to the other side. Yeah. Let's talk lastly about this corn spill. I thought this was pretty funny. It's not very often that you see people offered food from a spill on the side of the road, but they can't sell this sweet corn. And so there is a Colorado county offering free corn after this highway crash. And oh, by the way, they say be careful on the road because there's a lot of corn remnants that they didn't get. And they think that that'll attract deer and wildlife. So now you've got to contend with animals on the roadway trying to eat all the wayward corn. This happened in a Colorado county. They're distributing free ears of corn to local residents after a semi-truck loaded up with corn overturned on the highway and spilled its load. It happened on Highway 69 at mile marker 69. Happened Thursday at 2 o'clock in the morning. The truck spilled its load of sweet corn. Many of the ears of corn ended up littering the roadway. Any undamaged corn from the crash was transported to the Wet Mountain Fire Protection District, where members of the public are invited to drop by and take some corn for free. The corn-seeking residents are just asked don't block the fire department's driveway. They say they had the road clean by 7 p.m. Again, this happened at 2 in the morning, so that took forever. But the corn remnants are likely to attract a higher than usual number of hungry deer to the roadway. Tread carefully on Highway 69 in Colorado. Oh, and everyone's going to be eating corn for the next week in this Colorado county. All right, that is what I have for you today. Thank you for being here. I do want to thank this contribution, Technic31, for a $10 contribution to the show. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate that very much. Or Technic31. I don't know what StreamYard is doing with our names and our titles, but thank you very much. Much appreciated for contributing to the show. You know, we can't do it without you. And it is a crowdfunded show. So when you do something like that, you're paying for the platform that we use called StreamYard and the podcasting, which is called Podbean, which I got a message yesterday saying that it was the 500th show episode that I had posted to Podbean. 500 episodes. Hardly believe I've done 500 shows. But they say, yeah, you've posted 500 podcasts. So there you go. Thank you, Nick. I really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who contributes via PayPal as well. Donald S., Janet W., Kathleen G., Harold H., Ricky F., always Wes in there with a contribution as well. And thank you also to everyone who contributes with stories and ideas. Jim S. sending a story today. Got a really nice message last night from Julie. Also some stories this week from teacher Lori and Calvin Wong. So thank you for all the ways that you help me out and make the show better, because I love that it's an effort with all of us. I hope you have a great weekend. Once again, the Mark Thompson Show and the After Party Live will be dark on Monday. So have a nice extra long weekend. You have lots of good stuff to watch now and lots of great things to do. And I'll see you back here on Tuesday. For now, bye everybody.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
Myra, I saw your message about depression. I just want you to know, in my heart, I'm lifting you up, lifting you right up.